Hey everybody, we are live, but we are not shared out yet, so I'm going to go ahead and start sharing this out. Just give us a minute here. Hope everyone's doing alright. Mute this. Move the camera over a tad. It's a little Are we live? Are we up and running? Yes. All I see is notifications over our faces. So, hey everybody, let me load this up so we can get a sense of any questions coming up, and I gotta share this out and everything. Hope everyone's having a great, what is it, Thursday? I thought it was Friday. Q&A, load it up, turn the volume off. All right, one watching, which is me. Yes. Share this out. Okay. I got mine shared, I think. Okay. Okay. All right. Today we are gonna take some questions anybody might have about the Kickstarter campaign, talk about gameplay, talk about some of the add-ons and stretch goals, anything you might have, any questions you might have about the game. I'd be happy to talk about them. We also put up an update to the Aftershock Kickstarter, letting people know that they can stop by and check out the see how this game's different than Street Masters. They might have some questions about after the Aftershock shipping and stuff like that, where we'll answer what we can. More than happy to. In the meantime, let's talk about Ring Fit. What? Let's talk about Ring Fit. People aren't here for that. I forgot to do mine today. Yeah, we just got done playtesting the one of the other issues.
It's actually the fourth issue, the fourth and last issue of the core set, which is right now is pretty challenging. So
But that kind of leads into one of the first topics we're going to chat about, and that's the board, the issue boards. This is the demo kit issue board. We've had some people questioning, like, oh, I like the game, I'm not sure about I like that board. The nice thing about that is, well, first of all, none of the art and graphics of anything you see in the Kickstarter is final. This is all in development still.
Oh.
But
we actually haven't gone over gone a close-up overview of the board too, so you can keep talking while I'm doing this. But
I also want to note that there's 4 of these in the base game alone. And every single one is different. They function differently. So this one, you see, there's a map of the city in the middle there, and this is.
I'll zoom out a bit here. So yeah, the city this is like kind of a district of New Crown City. So if you go in further, like when you're close up, this is like a tactical map. You have all the different locations you can go to. Like here is the abandoned warehouse, which is that red space there on the map with the square. So that corresponds with the scheme panel. And you have the bank over here, Century Bank. So you're going to be moving around the city trying to deal with all these disasters and all these crises going on, enemies moving around. And that's kind of like your tactical element of the game. And the zoomed out nature of this map for this issue means all these different scheme panels are like buildings and locations you go into, and it kind of abstracts those locations into a panel, so you can have like big brawls with minions, and you're trying to investigate what the enemies do, what the villain's doing. So every issue will have different takes on this. Like for example, one of the issues, this is a zoomed in portion of the docks where it's you're just moving around the docks, sneaking around, trying to get information so you can jump the villain before they smuggle enough cargo out of the docks. And then one other one is the interior of a lab. So it's even more zoomed in where this is all just a lab, and each scheme panel is different parts of the lab. Like here's the weapons development division, here's like the control panel. So every issue board which we'll have art in pretty soon for. We'll be showing art as we get it in. We'll have different environments to play through and everything. So that's a little overview of the map because we've had some questions about it and everything. Any art at all for the other issues? Yeah, so you probably asked that before why there's a lag, but yeah, we'll have other art coming in. The maps take a little bit more time. We have different studios working on those because they're a little more detailed and they have such mechanical aspects to them because we have to have them tied to the prototype map layouts we do. So it's not just like, hey, give us a dungeon environment or something. We have to actually give them, we have to mock up our version of it and give it to them. And there's some back and forth about the style. And when you have maps like this, like for example, it's not, some people are saying like, oh, I want something, I want this, and I want this, and I want this. Well, this issue was designed to be a city district. So like this tactical map for this issue, we wanted to make a very heroic scale where you're flying around, going to different buildings. Like the map is open to all these different heroic abilities you can do. So that's why in this one in particular, it's kind of zoomed out. But it's hard to do that with like either a top-down view or like a kind of isometric view. So nailing that down, getting that right took a long time, and I'm very happy with the results. And I can understand some people might not like this map, or like a certain map in the game or a certain issue, but every issue will be different, so you'll have a variety to choose from. But like Adam said, nothing's final yet. We're still, working these out and then getting all the graphics down. This is just like what we loved best, obviously. That's why we put it up as the demo kit, so we're pretty happy with it.
Any add-ons with minis or more maps coming throughout the campaign? We don't know yet. We'll see. Add-ons are always dependent upon how well the Kickstarter does. Right now, we're focusing on getting funded and hopefully knocking out some of those early stretch goals. We do have a lot of exciting stretch goals planned, as you can see from our previous campaigns, from Street Masters to Altar Quest. We have a lot planned out, even if we don't hit them all. If not, we'll just use them next time we do our mini Kickstarter in the future. But we're focused on getting this one funded and out there and in people's hands so they can see how awesome it is themselves.
Yeah, and the other thing, I'm not sure if they meant like maps that are add-ons or if they just mean like more maps coming, but yeah, we'll have more maps to show.
We do have some planned in stretch goals, so we'd love to unlock even more issues.
Well, even just the ones, if you want to see the ones that are going to be in the boxes, we're going to be showing those as we get them in. We have the next issue, the second issue in the core game is almost done. They're just wrapping up some of the side panel art, so those will be ready to show soon. We're pretty excited about those.
Any plans on storage? Well, I'll comment.
I'll take it.
All right.
Let's fight for it. Not with your thumb, you pansy. So the storage situation is much different than our previous games, like Brook City or Street Masters. The content for this game is much more contained, and it's kind of designed that way from the ground up because we, as gamers, have to deal with storage also. We get Street Masters in, and I make my own custom storage for stuff, so I'm usually fine on that end. But we also want to make sure there's a reasonable storage solution out of the box. So for this one in particular. First off, the boxes are going to be well designed for to hold the content contained in it, because that's why they're standalone. So you can keep them in their own individual boxes because they're they're going to be the similar size. They're not these big, huge, deep boxes. They're like comic book sized boxes. Not comic book size, but you know what I mean. It's like the shape of a comic book. It's a thicker, obviously, but the stretch goal box, we're going to look into making that. Maybe a little larger of a box that if you wanted to, you could probably put all of your content from everything, all the boxes into that stretch goal box. Don't hold me to that because we're researching that now to make sure that's something that's viable. But I think that might be possible is making the stretch goal box just a little bigger than the other boxes and it could hold everything if you wanted. But if you wanted to keep your individual products boxed up, for example, the Judge and Jury and the Gym and Ice boxes will probably be big enough to hold any of your stretch goals you want to include or consolidate into those. But overall, it's going to be a much easier storage solution than any of our previous games. So there shouldn't be much to worry about on that end because there's much less minis in the sense of enemy decks. Every enemy deck will have only 5 minis. So we'll have more villain decks, but less numbers of minis for those. So.
But just to hammer home that's something that we're always thinking about. So every project going forward, we're always going to try to improve just storage, even the base game alone, just making sure it's, even for Altar Quest, for example, it's one thing we're keeping Blacklist aware of for the fact when talking with the factory, make sure that cards fit the way they're supposed to, dividers, there's room for dividers and all that stuff. It's kind of something we're always trying to improve. So keeping that in mind going forward.
Hey Scotty. So Kador asks if we can do a video that shows the key differences between all the MVS games. We can look into like maybe like splicing together some videos that are already out there because there's a lot of videos out there that have those key elements highlighted. So if you watch either a Brook City review or like a Street Masters review or overview, you should get kind of be able to see those. We also have the rule books available, so if you want to peruse the rule books to see them, we also provide gameplay videos of this. But if everybody watching right now, I can tell you right now the key differences from this game from our other games is the game time is much more consolidated, much more concise and streamlined.
The downtime is pretty much eliminated.
Yeah. And this
so
is
playing
one
a
of the,
4-player game with this doesn't feel as drastically different as it does like with Street Masters and Brook City. Those games, when you're playing 4-player, they're much different than they are playing solo or 2-player.
Yeah, I mean, besides the theme and all the mechanic stuff, that's one of the biggest parts is just the player count because you can play this game solo and it works just fine like our other games. It's very geared towards solo play and low player counts. But this game almost feels more exciting and cinematic the more players you add. And like 6 players, it gets really crazy and really fun and like just really lots of discussion, lots of storytelling and everything. Narrating out what's going on. And every time we've seen a higher player count game, it just feels like more exciting and more involved. So this is one of the games you'll want to get more people to play with you, and luckily you can do that in a reasonable amount of time, as opposed to if you play Street Masters or Brook City with new players, it can take a long time at a 4-player game because you're doing all your different individual turns. This one clicks so much faster. And then the other aspect is this one has a much more narrative feel to it because you're not just fighting like in Street Masters where you're just punching guys and you're doing mostly just combat simulation. And you have Brook City where you're mostly doing movement optimization, getting around the city at the right time, lining things up. And Brook City, the villain, the criminal, and the case are sort of disjointed. And we talked about how that's kind of an intentional thing where because the case deck is more of what the syndicate's doing and the criminal is more trying to distract you. Well, we've taken a lot of that stuff, we just improved upon that with Hour of Need, and now the villain and the issue deck, they're working together so much in this. They just rely on each other, and the villain is constantly applying pressure to the heroes while trying to accomplish the issue's goals, and the issue's constantly making you juggle all these priorities. So they just work well together both narratively and mechanically. And I think one of the 2 big key elements mechanically for this game is you have the both fighting and solving, which is more like investigation and problem solving. Those are handled differently and they both feel differently, but you have heroes that excel at different types of either combat encounters or solving encounters. So that's a huge difference, but also just the shared hero turn, that kind of the free-form hero turn where you're just spinning actions how you wish and you just interrupt those actions to do your threat phase once you've done both your actions. That it just works so well. It's something that it's hard to show in text or in pictures, but hopefully you can watch those videos and see that in action because it just works so well.
Yep. So there was a couple questions up there that got kind of lost, but
yeah, right here's the next one. It's I would show the different maps ASAP. Yeah, we have maps coming, don't worry.
We definitely have some art in works for the next map that we want to show off. Hopefully it's going to be done very soon, but we want to make sure it looks right and everything before we show it off. But that's definitely in the plans.
So Hour of Need is less fighting dependent than Alter Quest and Street Masters.
Yes,
so
well, I think with Street Masters is all fighting.
Yeah, that's
Alter Quest is combat and exploration kind of juggled between there, and you also have all those different kinds of characteristic tests in Alter Quest, so it's more of got that kind of role playing vibe. With Hour of Need, it's very strictly it's almost 50-50.
Yeah,
you
like
have attacking
solving
and you have solving, and those are things that are both very important in the game. You need to do both of those to win, because you need to solve schemes and solve the villain to reveal them, and you need to attack minions, and you need to attack the villain to defeat them.
Yeah.
So you need to do both, and those are 50-50, like Brady said. So.
Yeah, there's 3 main elements. One of those elements is broken up into 2 main key aspects. So the big 3 elements of this game, you have positioning. The tactical map positioning matters, trying to save the bystanders, trying to avoid enemies, trying to attack enemies, and then doing issue-specific things on the map. That's really important, tactical positioning. Hand management is very important in this game, more so than our other games, because your cards have multi-purpose usually, where you can play them for their effect or discard them for the hero trait to get bonus effects. So hand management is very important. And the other big thing is just the crisis management, which is broken up into 2, fighting and solving. So you're either fighting enemies and villains to get rid of them and prevent them from doing more damage to the issue board, or you're trying to solve things to get those threats out of the way so you can get to the get to the boss, beat them, and win. So those 3 key elements really make up each game session of Hour of Need, and each issue just does those in different ways.
What's up, Colby? Do we have any plans for crossover content like you do with Street Masters of Brook City? So that one's a little tricky because crossover stuff is difficult, mainly because we don't want to make people feel like they're blackmailed into backing a game, because a lot of people want all their, like, for example, if you're a Street Masters fan, you want all the Street Masters content without feeling forced into backing some game you don't want because there's some content, locked away in this pledge. So we want to make sure we reward our fans, but also not alienate them because they feel like they can't get everything for their favorite game unless they, get games they don't really care about as much.
Yeah, and it's also goes. It's almost like working against trying to get new fans, because I think our existing fans are already going to be here. They know about us. We don't need to have that enticement where it's, hey, come get this. You get this free piece for your other game. Not that we're opposed to that, especially if people want that. That's something we will listen to. But we would much rather just kind of create a game that stands on its own. Just has its own appeal, and just welcome new fans who might not know what those other games are. And plus, in just a kind of a personal taste, I want Hour of Need to exist in its own world outside of the Brook City and Street Masters universe, which those were great because those crossed over well enough. This one I kind of want to be its own thing. So
kind of like how we did for Alter Quest. Alter Quest is kind of its own world as well. So we had a question about getting a close-up of the board. We did this earlier, but I'll give you a quick little overview just to see some close-ups here. With the caveat that obviously this is not final. The art and graphics are not final. This is for the demo kit. This was put together so we could have something to play and show reviewers and stuff like that. But things will be going through development, and things are subject to change. But as you can see, we have the map in the center of the board, and then we have these scheme panels right here that are kind of like cards, but they're like those locations zoomed in, and they have effects on them, the villain schemes and triggers those. But you see we have Century Bank right there, and then the subway. So, and those all correspond. For example, this abandoned warehouse is right there on the map. So if you go into that space, you come into this scheme panel. Hey guys, I'm excited for another game. Awesome, thanks for your support. Any heroes that function like the question of Rorschach, more investigation than fists and powers?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. For example, Micro Guy in the base game, he's tiny, but he's really good at solving. He's a brilliant engineer.
Brilliant, he made this human-sized mech to ride around in.
He's really good at solving problems, but he's not so good at fighting. Until he gets in his mech, and then he's really good at fighting, and he's not that good at solving because he's a giant robot and he's kind of clumsy when he's in a mech. But there's also going to be heroes we have plans for heroes where, when they do solve actions, they might be able to deal damage or defeat minions because they're using their brains instead of, fighting. So there's definitely a lot of flexibility in the design to represent that. And there's also ways where we might have some guy who's horrible at solving problems, but he's a really, really good fighter, and he might use his fighting abilities to solve problems and kind of, cross over that way as well. All right. Just received my Street Masters Kickstarter. Love it. Awesome. Thanks for supporting Street Masters. We love that game. Could have been asked before, but I don't know. Is there a story playable, like a little campaign over 3 games, or example, or is it just one shot? So the way we want to do this one is an episodic game where, like comic books, you go issue to issue. So in this game, the issue guide will bring in some narrative. So when you're playing through this issue, you can have the issue guide open, and it'll have you have an introduction narrative, but there'll also be cues in the game where it's like, oh, if this happens, read this narrative, so you can kind of get a feel for the story while you're playing it. It's totally optional. You don't need to do that, but some people who like that narrative, it's there for you. Right now, there's no interlocking missions, but the system is flexible enough that in the future, if we want to do a campaign box, like a saga box or something, we can easily do that in this system. So.
Yeah, and it's not something that we just didn't feel like including. It's something we thought about because in my own personal preferences, I don't think of ongoing persistence in that way with heroes. In my mind, heroes are always kind of, they're more narrative, but they don't level up. They don't gain new gear and stuff like that. You can do that a certain way, and it's not something that would be impossible to add into this. But it's just something that I'd much rather be episodic. I just love that aspect of episodic.
If we did that like a campaign box, it would be more. It wouldn't be hero specific upgrades. It'd be more about injuries or setbacks
or dramatic things that happen happen to you.
Nemesis
Like
coming in, sidekicks coming onto your side, things like that, where you get these universal card upgrades instead of hero-specific upgrades. So I see here, it's evil of you to put a gameplay changing card into the miniatures add-ons. Now I have to buy them. Well, thanks for buying them, but luckily That's another tricky thing too.
yeah, it's the card that's in there. It's not game changing. I mean, it's obviously cool for people who want that that modularity or that customization, but it's mostly there to just it's because we would probably end up getting more people saying, oh, we're charging this for just some like plastic. But like we want to have something gameplay related in there, something you could like that change up your game a little bit if you invested in that. So it's just a little nod.
We will say
people...
it's cool and fun, but if you're not interested in the miniatures, you're not missing a ton of gameplay by not having that card. It's a modular element to change your game up a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's
sure
cool
share it
and
with
it's
you.
fun. And people might tell you what that card does and stuff like that, but you're not. If you don't want those miniatures, don't feel like you're missing out on a ton of gameplay.
Yeah, it's mostly there for the people who want the aesthetic upgrade and just have some functionality outside of just the miniatures.
Dan's not working. He's listening to this. Don't blame us if you get in trouble by your boss.
Does the Kingdom exist in Hour of Need? No, there's plenty of other organizations, but not the Kingdom. I would love to have an add-on where we could use some of our Street Masters in Hour of Need. That again, that's not out of the question, and more specifically like, as an add-on, it's just a matter of funding level. If we were funded right now, that's the kind of discussion we could have. Where if we were just funded, but we needed more acceleration for stretch goals and stuff like that, we could look at what can we do if people want to have another add-on, because like you have to balance out those add-ons because people kind of get overwhelmed with them and they feel obligated to buy them, so you can't just keep piling them on because it just kind of creates a sour atmosphere sometimes. But that's not out of the question. It's just it matters. We have to get funded first essentially to have those conversations. So
are there plans to demo the game at BGG-Con? When is BGG-Con?
I think that's actually coming up, so I don't think we can make that this year.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
I'll double check the date on that because I think it's actually either next weekend or the weekend after. It's sometime this month. If there was some magical way we could go, I would love to go and demo it because I'm always happy to play this game, so I'd love to show it off and everything. I just don't know if we can make it.
So this next one is actually a good point. Cador says I like the board. The only thing I don't like is the art has no effect on gameplay. It would be cool if street spaces or something is different than a water building space to increase tactical gameplay. Again, that is the case. Like, for example, the next issue that we're hoping to show off is
the docks.
It has water spaces in it. Like, so it has things that affect this right here. Century Heist is like more of the straightforward issue.
This is the beginner one. This is like literally just to get you acclimated to the game.
So we didn't want to have a bunch of special rules to worry about, but that is definitely something the system not only supports, but we take advantage of that in the core set.
And also the beauty part about our stretch goal model too is you could have these environmental things that get added to the game through these crisis cards that get added, so you can play these other scenarios where spaces will matter differently, based on what you're including into it. So don't look at this as like, this is just the only board I can play, or I have to play this repeatedly, and it's like, it's not very challenging. This is, if you want to teach the game to somebody, like open up Century Heist, you know how to play that right away. There's not a ton of exceptions, but like you'll notice quickly the spatial element does matter. Like it does, the visual representation, the aesthetics, they're there to get you in the scene. You're in Century, you're in the New Crown City, you're near the Century Bank. It's just a positioning thing. It's to give you a cinematic view of that city. So it's just the best way we could represent that visually without making it seem disconnected to the spatial element. So it's something hopefully you can experience. We'd love to demo it at BGG-Con if possible. But.
So could a bundle of missions be released in a trade or ARC box? Yes. The only thing is when we do like issues, it'd have to be in a box with the deck and the boards, unless we in the future want to do alternate decks for like Century Heist, but it wouldn't work as well because we have these scheme panels here. They have to have cards
have like
over
overlays for it. It's easier just to do a whole new board. And honestly, the boards are going to be really practical. They're this size. They fold. They're bifolds, so they're going to be easy to store and everything. So I'd be happy with more boards. But yeah, I mean. It's all a matter of how the game line does, because this is the game line more than any that I want to just continually support. Like I would love to just be able to have a successful launch of this game and be able to do like annual expansions for it and just make new like story saga boxes and create like your campaign elements and just introduce tons of new heroes and new villains, and that's my overall goal. So
I'm all in. Love your previous games. I would prefer a smaller board without the cards inside, but that's just me. Yeah, we really dug that element of this game, so you could have that spatial. And also it's gonna fold up into this to take up in the space of the box. Not very much space, so it'll be double sided as well.
Yeah,
so.
if I ever come across a defensive, it's just because I am 100% in love with the board. I love the shape of it. I love the look of it. I love how it's going to feel like a comic book sword, like you're opening it up and laying it out, and there's these scheme panels where it's kind of telling the story. It's just, and the small footprint, like it doesn't take up much table space. There's so much game packed into this issue board, and it's, maybe it's something you have to experience firsthand. It's just something that I've probably never been so excited about an element in one of our products. The product design is great.
All right, love the name Locksley, by the way. You can thank Brady for that. Cador says he would be wiser to include 2 issues in the demo kit, 1 easy and 1 advanced. Now, I will tell you right now that if money was not an issue, that would have been...
we would love it. Yeah.
But,
time
demo
and
kits
money,
are super expensive to produce, especially when we need to send them out to multiple people with miniatures and dice and all that stuff. So it's a challenge to decide which one we want to... We thought this issue best encompassed, best show off the game because it's pretty straightforward issue, but it also feels cool and narrative. And we've both played this issue, I don't know, like 40 times or something like that, like over playtesting, and it's always fun. I never get sick of it.
Yeah, I guarantee when this comes out, when the final product comes out, the first thing we do is bust out the game and play Century Heist in its final form, just because it's just such a great. It has like a nice nostalgic feel already. It just feels classic and.
Yes, this will be a bifold board. Here's the demo kit company. All they do is quad fold.
Yeah, here's what it looked like, a quad fold, and it to me you would lose some of the stability, I think, and it opens up for more air.
Too many folding.
Yeah. So I think, and this is like going to be 8.5 by 11 size, so it'll just fit nice. It's a rulebook size board. It'll fit in the box, and it was kind of inspired by the Unmatched Restoration Games of the Unmatched game, and it's just very similar size board, and it worked really well for them. So I just wanted to kind of do something similar.
So since we had some questions or comments about add-ons, maybe it's a good idea to start to explain how those add-ons work, like what makes the Minion pack cool, what makes the Bystander pack cool. So for obviously the extra dice are just extra dice. You'll get, if you pledge in the 109 tier, the Justice tier, you're going to be getting like 15 hero dice. You should have enough. I mean, if you want to have enough, like if you're playing 6-player, you want everybody to have a certain amount of dice, you can get some extra dice. We always love extra dice. We just want to offer them there for people who might want them. The hero mats are pretty self-explanatory. They're going to organize your play area, 1 per player. Having played with the Street Masters one, it's awesome having your cards slots all printed out in front of you, and mats are nice. So it's just an optional upgrade for those who want it. The bystander tokens to miniatures pack. So bystanders are going to be used in every issue. They're going to be popping on the board. They are tokens in the base game, saving costs, and this upgrades the miniatures. So it's kind of cool just to have little scared civilians popping up on the board. But there's an additional bonus in the pack of a card that gives you rules for a special bystander. And you might see in the stretch goals, we've already teased Gabby Woods, one of the special bystanders. And what those do is they bring a card that's double-sided. There's a card for when you rescue them, you get like maybe some kind of passive bonus or a one-time effect. And then there's a captured side where if they're captured and there's an additional effect besides the normal capturing bystanders. In the normal game, if a bystander is removed from the pool, like killed off for some reason, that just kind of shrinks your bystander pool and it makes crises more likely to happen. But special bystanders might have additional effects, like if if this bystander's defeated, you also discard a card, or you lose focus, or take extra damage, things like that. You might rescue a bystander that's like a doctor, and you can heal you, stuff like that. So, kind of changes up your game a little bit, gives you some more options, but also mainly it's there to give you miniatures for your bystanders. And the same thing is with minions. Minions are also going to be tokens in the game. They populate. Oops, dropped it. Slippery. They populate the scheme panels, and again, there's a pool of them. If you ever can't place them, crises happen. The minion pack makes the miniatures, so obviously make them look cool, but also gives you a special minion card. It's another modular element of the game where you can upgrade these minions. Normally they're just, 1 success kills them off, they deal 1 damage to you, pretty basic. But special minion cards give them an additional effect. Like maybe when they attack you, you lose focus, or maybe you can't defeat them unless you spend focus. Maybe they get bonus defense because there's bystanders in there. They're taking them hostage and they get bonus defense, things like that. But that special minion pack will give you miniatures for your minions. Also, that additional card that kind of gives you a new rule to use with them. See if I catch up here.
Yeah, I just sent a note there. Dan said it's too bad you can't get a demo kit to someone who BGG Con. I just sent a note to the boss to see if there's any way we can make it there. Like, not even have a booth presence, but just be there. Because we talked about it previously, but because we hit Essen this year, I don't know if it's within the budget or anything like that. So we'll look into it. I don't know. It's gonna be a busy month regardless. We're going to Miami next week to Dice Tower to play with Tom. So I honestly don't know if going to BGG Con would be much more effective than going to play on Dice Tower live, because they have a lot of viewers and Tom's been excited to check it out. So I feel like that might be more effective than going to BGG Con, but I'd be all about taking this to a con and showing it off, because I'd love to play with anybody, but it's a matter of money.
So can the mats work with Alter Quest? In theory they could, but they're really the stuff that's printed on them is specific to this game. So like the card slots, stuff like that. There's a general play area and the thread area. We didn't make mats for Alter Quest because table space is an issue. The board is really big on Alter Quest, and having space for everybody to have a player mat on top of that was kind of pushing it. So we didn't make those, but if people want to use it for Alter Quest, they could. That's totally up to them if they have a table big enough.
Yeah, we just have that. We have table space preferences ourselves, and with these games that have smaller footprint, that's what we want to add with the
Yes.
play mats.
The issue boards are double-sided. Now, a quick question here on the Minion pack will be one type of
I was
model.
showing this.
I want to point out that Minions are
Tokens.
general tokens, and they're not tied to any specific villain. So Minions are just a generic bad resource. Lackeys, that's these guys right here. These are the lackeys that are tied to the specific minion. There's only 4 of those per villain. So this, like for example, Dowager has these 4 lackeys. Curtains will have his 4 lackeys.
Now that's important thing to point out though, because
But you'll see, we have a social goal revealed on the Kickstarter page to unlock 5 additional Stooges. But they take those Stooge sculpts here and they make them into minions.
So the way that
for
works
example,
is you have a pool of these. Sorry to interrupt. You have a pool of these 10 minions. So right now we have 10 minion tokens. And if you get this Stooge upgrade from the social stretch goal, what you can do is take that card, set it near the board as a reference, and you're going to take those 5 figures and replace 5 of the tokens from the supply, return these to the box, and that way when minions are going to spawn, they're going to first spawn the special types of minions before they spawn the regular types, and then these guys are going to have a special effect on them, so they'll make it a little more difficult or a little more rewarding to take them out. So these guys right now just have one attack, 1 inflict, and 1 defense. Or 1 health, sorry. So 1 damage will take them out, but they pile up in the scheme panels. So right now they're just a negative currency. You have to fight through to clear out scheme panels. But if you replace them with special minions, these sculpts, then they're going to have some different effect that'll just make the game a little more complex, or as much as complex as you want, or as difficult as you want, based on which ones you add.
So you could potentially, if you're playing Dowager and you want her minions to actually be Stooges on top of her lackeys, you can have, it gives you a thematic tie-in, or you can mix them up if you want, just to have fun, whatever combinations you want of minions and lackeys.
So this one, I don't mind talking about this. So why the game? My top 3 reasons why the game isn't funded yet would be interested in your opinions. 1, too fast after Alter Quest. 2, Aftershock not fully fulfilled, and 3, Marvel Champions release.
So my top 3.
Well, let me address those really briefly. So number 1, that's fair. I mean, it's not targeted at just people who backed Alter Quest. We do want to have repeat customers. We want to have returning backers, but we also want to get new backers, and we have to have a set product schedule to stay in business essentially. So even though some people don't have enough time to save up, we still have to launch products. So, it sucks that we can't have everybody join in on us, but we want to put these out there and maybe invite new customers who don't know the other games. So we're not just targeting those existing returning backers. So if we were, we could space these out more, or if we had the bandwidth or the flexibility and the financial cushion to push out our release dates, but we have to stick to a product release schedule. Otherwise, we just can't sell games, can't stay in business. The other second part is Aftershock not fully fulfilled. We set all our schedules based on our expectations. Now, Aftershock started fulfillment in October when planned. We've just had some some communication issues with the fulfillment partner, so it's spilling over into the campaign. We're pretty confident that all that's going to be fulfilled before the campaign's over, right? I mean, that's a logical assumption. So that's a fair point too. And again, it's not like we're targeting this campaign specifically for our Aftershock backers. We hope we get there.
And that's a backer's decision too. Like,
Right.
I back a lot of games, and that is never a factor. I will never factor that into my decision to back a publisher or not, because if I want a game, I'm going to back it. I don't care if the other game is still in production. It's just because I know how the cycle works. I know that when a publisher hands off a game to the factory, they're just sitting there waiting. So you have to start working on the next project. I understand that. I accept it. It doesn't affect me. But it's backers' decision how they want to spend their money.
Which we respect that. We're not gonna begrudge anybody for not backing it for those reasons. Those are fine, and we're not gonna try to convince them otherwise, because it's their money. You know, I don't like to be a salesman. I just want to say, hey, this is a great game. Come check it out if you can. If not, great. The third point you bring up, Marvel Champions. It's always interesting to me because I have been pretty flamboyantly, is that the right word? Adamantly praising and saying this game is my favorite game that I haven't worked on. This Marvel Champions game is my perfect game because I love card games. But I honestly assumed, because it's like me, if I had this game that I love, this is my ultimate superhero game, and if I was a fan, I can 100% tell you I would back Hour of Need as well, because I would see it and I'd be like, oh, this is great. Luckily, it's a little different than just a card game, so I'm gonna get this too because I can't get enough superheroes. So I thought maybe that might be the same situation with a lot of people who are just into comic book themed stuff, like superheroes. But I can totally understand anybody who that fills their void on their shelf. If that's all they have room for their superhero needs, that's great. I mean, it's a fantastic game. I'm glad it's out there. I'm glad that they have that and they love it. This is just for people who either want more or want something different. That's pretty much all it is. So again, we respect all those 3 points, but those are all our thoughts on it. So.
And we also, you can't plan around other publishers anymore, like on Kickstarter.
Yeah, it's impossible.
There's always something on Kickstarter.
Or Fantasy Flight when they don't, when they have surprise announcements that we don't know about.
But we always seem to go up right when a CMON game goes up. This one is, I think Zombicide Black Plague was up there when we were doing Aftershock, or the original Street Masters.
Yeah, that was the original one. Yep.
But yeah, we always hit those, and I know that people who might want Zombicide, for example, ended up spending $400, $500 on that campaign. So it was Green Horde. Thank you. But that's if you only have a certain amount of budget per year on games, if you blow it all on one Kickstarter, you can't do much about that. We try to offer the $100 pledge typically, and not go too crazy with add-ons and stuff like that. I know Aftershock was a bit different because that was kind of a follow-up campaign to another game, so it was basically 2 Kickstarters worth of stuff. There's a lot of stuff there. But yeah, there's lots of reasons. I think that the one of the big problems we have, which is this, there's a reason why this is going to be our last MDS game for a while. We're going to do some other games next year, but people we want the MDS games to get out there in the market and people realize they're not the same. They don't play the same.
Yeah,
they just have the same. They have the same kind of product structure where everything's decks of cards and there's dice involved, but they play very differently depending on which ones you're playing.
Yeah, once the MDS line is fully understood, I think we'd be happy to do more. But we listen to a lot of the vocal fans that just say they want more MDS titles, so we try to balance out our product planning based on that. And it's been to the point where we've been doing back-to-back MDS games, and we realized that it's something that it's not like we're just trying to shove those down people's throats. We're just trying to respond to the demand, because people always reference certain games like, oh, these guys at Street Masters and Brook City do more of this, do an MDS game like this. So we try to respond to those. But it also creates that problem where some people have too much bloat. They don't want the same, they don't want a game that's card driven or tons of miniatures and stuff. So we're gonna move away from that. This is obviously the pinnacle in my mind of our MDS system. This is the most refined we've gotten. This is the most polished MDS game we've done. That's the other reason too, is I don't want to do another one after this, because I don't know if we can top this MDS game. This is for me, this is the bee's knees. The other question here though was from John, was asking, are you interested in doing a redemption pack add-on with this series? This was asked earlier. Personally, not at all. I'm not crazy about redemption. I love the content. I love new heroes and stuff. I just don't love making villains heroes. To me,
neither of us are into playing as villains. It's never, to us, it's never been cool. We don't like that. I know lots of people do.
Yeah. But
we never got into the anti-hero or the villain type things. It's just it's not our thing.
Yeah.
We like to have bad guys to go up to fight against, and like we have our heroes we play as, we fight the bad guys. That's kind of our thing. But we understand lots of people like playing as bad guys. That's why we did Redemption.
Yeah,
because
that's
not our choice.
Yeah, that being said, it's our, history speaks for itself because we never had any interest in doing redemption packs, but there's a lot of them out there. We've done 2 of them so far for Street Masters, so it's not like we're against doing them. We just don't want to or like have the interest to. We just will because we want to make sure people get what they want and they get to play the characters they want to play. So that's that one. And then the other question was...
Does the mini bystander pack all one sculpt?
Right.
That's up there. But
right before that, though.
What?
Go ahead and answer that one, though, right before that.
Yeah, it's
question.
2 sculpts. Those are each 2 sculpts, one of each, male and female,
Yeah.
for both those packs.
He was asking, Kato was asking, do I have to attack each minion separate, or will a 4 damage attack kill 4 minions? So that'll depend on the types of minions, obviously. But if you're fighting just the regular default, like, token minions in the game, every time you attack, you're targeting a space. So, like, for example, on this board here, you'll see if you're in the... abandoned warehouse here, that's going to be this space right now. So if you're attacking, you can attack this space from here, or you could be in the scheme panel and attack your space. So always targeting a space, either your space or an adjacent space. And when you attack, you always apply the successes however you want within that space. So if there are 4 minions there,
Hold it up.
what?
I might as well hold it up because I had another question about that as well.
So if you attack, if you're throwing like 3 dice in here and there's 3 minions in here and you roll 3 successes, you can dish those out there. Or if you had a guy, a stooge who was sitting here in this scheme space, that's still the space you're in, you can target that space and he will, you can apply successes to him or the minions in your space. So it's however you want to distribute them.
Keep the hell up there. Someone said that they had came in late. Street Master on his table right now. Interested now or neat, but those map tiles look messy, not attractive. So we have shown these up close just a few times in the stream, but we'll show it again because you came in late. This is one example of an issue board, and this issue board is a zoomed out city, so it's not supposed to be representative of scale of you actually walking around these spaces. It's like more of your general position in the city. When you go into that yellow space, for example, you're going into Century Bank, and you'll move over to that scheme panel to that zoomed in, encounter there at the Century Bank. Other issues will be, they'll be zoomed in things like you're inside of a library or you're on these docks. The scale will change.
As he means the map, like this map will be a interior, like a top-down view of a library or something. So they're going to be different environments. This one was created as your introduction, like your heroes in a city. This is like the most kind of typical, like zoomed out approach because you can fly across the city, you can like run really fast across the city. We want to create a very heroic atmosphere, and honestly, like everyone has their own taste, but this art is just gorgeous. I think it captures comic book quality so well, and it's like the aesthetic we were going for. So everyone has their own tastes, and we're trying to appeal to a wide array of comic book fans. But that's something that I'm really partial to. So I really love the boards. I know I've seen a lot of comments about people who either have their own opinions about it and everything, and that's great. I'm not gonna convince anybody otherwise. I'm just going to say, I stand pretty firm on it. I love it. I love how it looks. I've been playing on it, and it just really captures what I want it to capture. So it's in the right direction. But as Adam always says, nothing's final yet. So we're still, ironing things out. But this is just what we landed on, and I still love it, regardless of any sort of criticisms.
All right. So he likes to play Juan a lot. I don't know if there's any questions there, but... will there be neoprene option? There are neoprene hero mats, but we're not going to do neoprene issue boards because there's going to be so many of them. We can't print all of those, so that not for issue boards.
Did you get this? Why not use?
Names.
Alliterated names. There are some. Like we have like Loxley, and there's some characters that have those nods. It's just. This is all based on lore that we've compiled over the years when we've kind of created our own comic book characters. So it's not something we're just trying to go for pure homage, but there is some in there, obviously. There's going to be a lot of throwbacks to like characters you might realize, like, this is a take on this character, but we wanted to also kind of keep it as if it's our own comic book setting we're creating comics for, because, we're just passionate comic book nerds anyway. So,
all right, so he has to go. Thanks for stopping by. Any add-ons planned right now? We lack enemies and heroes. We have lots of stretch goals planned, so not tons of add-ons because we don't want to kind of bloat the campaign when we're focusing on funding. But there's lots of good stretch goals planned.
If we somehow magically knew how many people would buy a given add-on, which we can't because people can always change their pledges and everything, we would love to add more content. We would add as many expansions as people would buy, but we just can't gauge that. And because add-ons are so specific to how many people actually pay for it, we can't guess what that number is going to be because we would lose money by producing that we
It's
can't
risky
sell,
enough
so.
doing those upgrade packs.
Yeah.
You know, we wanted to provide those, but we're not sure how many people are actually going to buy them. So, any hints on non-MDS games that are in the making? Please keep doing big games. I know you plan on doing small ones. Personally, I love to do big ones. Perhaps a co-op area control game or something like that. So we will say, I'll say 2 teases here. One tease. And we do have 2 games coming straight to retail next year, hopefully.
David's been pretty open, by the way.
But yeah, I was gonna say that one of the teases is we've recently commissioned some external design team, which they're well-known designers, to work on another game for us for next year.
And that may or may not be a collaboration or just a pure design by this design team. We're not going to be making any big design choices for them, but if they want us to collaborate, we're more than happy to. So
the plan is to at least. The plan is at least for this to be our first competitive game in the Blacklist catalog, but Brady and I will be involved to provide solo play rules because we like to cater to solo players. The second tease is we are planning on doing our next big game, me and Brady, based off of polling we've seen for people favorite themes, and one that we've seen a lot of requests for is one that we're going to probably be doing next, and that's probably the most teasing we can do without Blacklist firing us.
yeah, and we'll probably have actually more like solid announcements close to the end of this campaign. We just want right now to focus on getting funded, getting this product up and running, because I just can't express how excited I am for this product line. This one in particular, it's pretty much been the one I've wanted to do from the start. So we've been doing all these other MDS games, and we're just responding to like what themes might not be represented well enough in the market. Like superheroes for me, I've always been just a diehard superhero fan. I love comic book themed games, and this was one that I thought there was a big void for. This particular one, not just comic book games in general, but like this type of game. It's just very much what I was looking for, and hopefully we'll find the right audience because I think it can do some really cool stuff once we get some more content in it.
All right, so Lovester's backstory for Gabby Woods. Where is it? On Mike. Will there be card flavor text in the game to help connect relationships? The plan is to have flavor text on some cards when there is space. So yes.
Yeah, every card will have a little like kind of blurb, but also in the issue guide you'll have more coherent storylines based on characters that get introduced. Depending on card space though, because right now some of the card effects are light enough where we can fit some flavor text in there. We'll have that discussion because we don't want to like have a situation where some decks might have more flavor text than others, so we don't want to like outbalance it. So as long as like the cards allow for it, I'd be more than happy to write just little flavorful quotes about different interactions and stuff. But there will be bios too, so you'll have biographies of characters to read about in the issue guides.
What's the deal with Gabby and Majesty?
They are quite an item.
They're a couple. Majesty.
They don't know. Like obviously, Gabby Woods does not know Majesty's secret identity, but she often gets saved by her a lot. She knows.
It's kind of got that Superman Lois Lane feel to it.
She doesn't work with Bridget, but she knows her. She's an acquaintance, but she does not know that Majesty or she does not know Bridget is Majesty, but Bridget and Gabby Woods have had relationships. They're not like what do you call it? Like steady, I guess you would say, but they're on and off again, sort of. So there's a whole like backstory romance for them, but that's kind of brought out through some of the flavor text. So they're an item essentially.
But you still love Alter Quest, right? I have high hopes for that. My favorite of the 4, I guess. Yeah, Alter Quest, definitely. That's one of those things where, as much as we have fun playtesting it, we have to see how it's received when it's released. If people love it and we can continue supporting it, great. But we also definitely plan on doing some more games in that setting. So the Alter Quest setting is something we will continue supporting for sure. Even if Alter Quest doesn't do as well as we hope, after the Kickstarter, we definitely have plans for that setting.
So we have a question here from Arn, asking if we'll show more issue
I wouldn't
boards.
show that one.
No, I'm just it's more of a community.
We're not
thing,
showing
but-
these off because
Yeah, there's a reason we're not showing too many off because right now this is what they look like until we get the art done. So we have maps to show, but we just can't really, impress anybody with these until we have some flashy artwork to go with them. So we have plenty designed. We're just waiting on art, and art takes a while, and then it goes through graphic design and proofing and everything. So it's coming. It's just, we can only do so much in a certain amount of time. And
But we do have an issue board in the works with
Yeah,
the art,
there's
the
one
art
coming
team,
soon, yeah.
so we're definitely going to be able to show up one during the campaign unless something goes horribly wrong. Unrelated, Lizardman Blood Bowl team is close to
dude,
done.
my wood elves are taking forever. Like I
Dude,
have
we'll have to
one.
get a-
I have like one painted, one player painted.
I'll have to get a game going. As long as you don't have any croc scores in your team, I'll be happy.
I just assembled my my Beast Grave guys though. Like I got my new Beast Grave case.
Yeah, we can
but
have an Underworlds tournament soon. A possibility for add-on could be another funding level with other add-ons. That way, you know how many backers. Yeah, we always like to have as few pledge levels as possible. It's hard. It's always hard to say like what turns backers away, but it's not usually like unless it's a horrible pledge level configuration. Usually it's minor things like I don't have the money or that's a major thing. Sorry. Or I have a game that's too similar that I think I don't really need this in my library. So obviously games are a luxury that you don't need to buy. But it's good to cater to people that you can, like the largest groups possible. If there's a glaring issue, you can address it. But we haven't seen that yet with this campaign. We've only seen people. The big things I've seen is they think it's too similar to other MDS games. They don't need any more, which I disagree with. But that's their game collection, not mine. But they all play different in my mind. And the other big one is Marvel Champions just came out, and they don't want any more superhero games, which is fair. Your game collection, you can do what you like with it. I like both games. I've actually enjoyed playing this more than Marvel Champions. Although I do love Marvel Champions, it's great. I played through all of the 3 villains in the game on normal expert mode with my wife, and we beat them all except for we haven't played Ultron on an expert yet. But I feel like I've tapped it out, and I'm ready for more content. With here Hour of Need, we've tested the Century Heist Dowager combination countless times, and I still enjoy playing it. I still want to play it. Maybe because it's work and I feel like I have to, but I don't get sick of it. So, to each their own. Hey guys, got here. Hope you have some awesome questions. Yeah, we have lots of questions, lots of good questions. Hopefully, people are walking with lots of good information. Good. Cleared the board up for you. Good. Any thoughts of PC digital version of Street Masters? Yeah. We've definitely been working on something digital Street Masters, which we've teased on the Blacklist Facebook page. We're looking forward to doing an official announcement for that. It's very exciting, and I hope. I've noticed after Street Masters has gone to retail through Asmodee. We haven't done an official announcement yet, but people can see it's available to purchase through Miniature Market. Cool stuff. Game Nerds, all these places. I saw it on Amazon. The cool thing is a lot of places I saw it on is out of stock already, so it seems to be selling well. I feel like what we have planned digitally is going to make it even more accessible to people, get the word out more, spread the Blacklist name. But we are looking forward to that announcement, hopefully sometime after the Hour of Need Kickstarter. With the game not going as fast as hoped, perhaps you can change your plan stretch goals so that we have a cool one earlier.
What's
Again,
cool
I
about Gabby
don't
Woods?
know if the stretch goals are, like I said, are the reason. I've been trying to keep track online of people talking about why they're not backing, and I haven't seen one that's like they don't like the stretch goals. I mean, they can look at our previous campaigns to see how many stretch goals that we've unlocked and how we kept the gap between stretch goals low with the amount of content high. So like I looked at Zombicides, for example, they have like $40,000 stretch goals for like one figure, and it's like people don't care because they just want the game.
Yeah, the biggest problem is just in my mind right now is just visibility and burnout, because right now
And timing. It's close to holidays.
What's I mean? The burnout's
Yeah.
the timing issue, because people are just coming off of like the Kickstarters. There's been a lot of Kickstarters back to back. I mean, we've had several Kickstarters. We had Alter Quest, and then we had and this one, and that was we had a little breathing room between Aftershock and Alter Quest, but there were still people there then who were like, "Oh, I haven't recovered yet from." So it's just, I mean, it's hard to keep up with everyone who's doing Kickstarters and time it right. So there can be times where some games just don't hit at the right time. Hopefully this one isn't it. Hopefully, you know, we continue funding and when we get to the funding goal. If not, you know, we'll figure something out. It's not a big deal. It's just it's about right now just, you know, showing the game, getting people to see the game, getting maybe new people who don't know the company, don't know the other games, and this might be their first MDS game, their first introduction to Blacklist. Yeah, so I mean, mostly we just want to appeal to people who love comic books and superheroes and co-op games. So we just got to spread the word more, which we continue to try to do. So it's just something we got to keep pushing for.
This is a more broad general question. CMON and Folklore Affliction games allowed to buy extra player boards in the future for Street Masters. Will you allow this for players too, and possibly other games? I'm not sure what that question is, because if it's player mats, for example, like we have those for Street Masters, and yeah, we definitely plan on doing that for more of our games. But if I'm wrong, feel free to correct me, and if I'm wrong interpreting your question. But yeah, we definitely want to provide.
Yeah, because whenever I hear player boards, I think of, you know, actual like games that use character sheets or something, or that's your character. But we have decks, so I'm not sure if that's what you mean by player boards.
Ted jumped in late and thought he heard us say something about taking a break from the new MDS games after Hour of Need. But what about expansions for current MDS games? So that's a different topic. So expansions are a different thing. We definitely plan on supporting our games for as long as they sell. The only issue with a lot of our Kickstarters is we unlock a lot of content right out of the gates. So for example, Street Masters, yeah, we could put more expansions out for that, but honestly, who needs that right now? Like, there's just so much content for Street Masters out there, but you know, we definitely could and can support it in the future, but we're not in a rush to do that because there's so much out there.
Yeah, it's like 5 years worth of content in that box. So
Alter Quest unlocked quite a bit of stuff as well. But once that's out there and we see how it sells and see how people receive it, you know, like, you know, we can easily do a new campaign box once a year for that game, for as long as people buy it. But we just have to see how it sells and see how it's received. But yeah, taking a break from new MDS games is different than supporting existing MDS games. Any info what's happening with the Contra game? So that Contra game is designed. We actually passed off the development to Scotty and Mitch. Mitch is a developer that works with us, and Scotty's our marketing brand director. I'm not sure, I forget what the actual title is, but yeah, Scotty's, you know Scotty. They are playtesting and tweaking the development, but we're also dealing with licensing through Konami. So that's, you know, kind of out of our hands. It's designed, it's being tested. It's going to be ready to go once the licensing's all worked out. Yeah,
licensing takes the longest amount of time.
I do not like working on licensed games because it's so out of our hands. So there's so much things that have to change or, you know, go corresponding to what the licensor wants. So
we got love the background lore of your games. I noticed that Dowager's husband had the same last name as one of the Aftershock Parasol Inc. minions. Not sure, because Dowager's husband was Wise Guy. I'm not sure if there was a different mention. It might have been a typo somewhere, but I'm not really sure. There's no connection though. Like they're two different worlds, so there's not an intentional connection. There might have been a typo, or maybe he used the wrong name or something. But it's Dowager's husband was Wise Guy. He was the one that ran the mob. But yeah, I'm glad you're digging the lore. Superhero theme usually does worse, same as mechas. Yeah, it is a more of a niche theme. We're just hoping that it catches the right people at the right time. So we'll see. Are there plans to expand Alter Quest? Right now, I mean, there's always ideas, but plans are much more firm. So it depends on if the game is going to support it. So right now, we need to get it into production, finish all the printing and everything.
Yeah,
and once
we
get
can't
the game
make
out there, then we'll be able to see the reception and everything. So
yeah, we can't make plans for expansion until the base game's at least out there in the hands of players and people are playing it and how they like it and everything. So I always need more Street Masters. Are you sure? If you've played through all those decks in Aftershock, then I'm gonna buy you a trophy. MDS Crisis on Infinite Earths or Street Masters Brick City, and that'd be something I'd be willing to. Stage boards.
What's that?
They're talking about extra stage boards. I think.
Oh, like issue boards, or
yeah, if you mean issue boards, those are typically tied to issue decks. So like those will usually be in products.
So these aren't, you wouldn't just buy extra like city boards to make a city map. Like this is the board. So this is specifically designed for the deck that comes with it. So anytime we do an issue deck, which we have some planned in the stretch goals, then
Russo is the name of Mr. Russo.
oh that's just that was sorry, the last name on Dowager. Yeah, Russo is just a name that's used. It's just a coincidence. Yeah, it's
Agree with
not
what you
tied
said
to-
about Street Masters content. Aftershock came in yesterday, and I almost feel like it's too big. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to transport it. Yeah, so there's so much stuff for Street Masters. We even debated doing another Street Masters Kickstarter right now, where instead of Hour of Need, it's like let's do another Kickstarter to kind of ride the excitement of Street Masters. But there's just so much stuff out there. It's overwhelming.
And it's not like we want to like kind of put that game behind us, but we just want to give it time to breathe because there's just so much right now for it. We just don't like bloat. We don't want to contribute to bloat. We want to just make sure people have enough to keep themselves active in the game and enjoy it. But we're not opposed to supporting games because obviously we kind of cut our teeth in the industry making expansions for games, so it's not something we have a problem with. It's just a matter of priorities and what's gonna sell, what the majority of people want. So,
Loving Street Masters. All I have is the retail core right now. Will I be able to get any of their content? I heard last time it was offered in your web store. It went too fast for most people. So yes, we will offer remaining stock from the Kickstarter on our web store after fulfillment has completed. That's all the fulfillment. So the whole worldwide shipping plus any people missing their stretch goal box, stuff like that. Once that's all done, we'll consolidate all our stock and then put it up on our website for sale. We can make no guarantees with how long it'll last, but if it all sells out, then we will talk about what to do with that. Maybe we have to do a reprint Kickstarter or something where maybe no new content and we just reprint everything because there's so much stuff already. We'll see. We don't know what we're going to do with that yet. We'll address that when we run out of stock. But it will be up for the website after fulfillment.
K-Doors, I guess Street Masters plus Aftershock is just a slap in the face of all sleevers. Yeah, it's just I'm trying to teach the world. It's a futile effort because there's no reason to sleeve that stuff because if the cards ever wore out, it's just a sign that you played the game enough and you gave it enough love. But I don't sleeve any of my. I play card games religiously and I never sleeve my card games. And I'm not the best shuffler, but like my cards still are pretty good shape. So I don't believe in sleeves. The sleeves for me just mean it's a prototype and that means work for me. So I just. Down with sleeves.
I will buy whatever you put out for Ultra Quest. That is all I have to say. And as a fellow Green Lantern fan, any cosmic hero in Hour of Need.
Check out
that Jim and Ice expansion.
Yeah, Jim. Adam and I appear the Jim and Ice cover. I'm Jim. He's Ice. Jim is my character. It's kind of inspired by Vision, Green Lantern. Like a lot of those cosmic heroes. So that's definitely going to be your kind of Green Lantern style hero.
Wow, Leon said he's 75% through Aftershock already. Gets to play three or four missions a day. Well, yeah, you're ahead of most other people.
Yeah, that's impressive even to me, and I play the game quite a bit. So everything of looping Eyes Sorosto to paint the Street Master stuff might get more visibility. I'm not sure. I'll look who that is. I'm not sure who that is, but yeah, we're always open to sending painters stuff if they want to check it out. So.
Yeah, the only problem with we usually don't have enough time ahead of time to plan those for Kickstarters, but yeah, we'll definitely look at people getting painted miniatures for future stuff. There's always room for more Street Masters. The compendium really adds to the experience. Any plans to do similar book for your other games? Again, that's depending on how it does. Like for example, Street Masters when it delivered, it was very well received. The Kickstarter didn't blow the doors off, but it funded. It got in people's hands and it was received really well. So we did a follow up and it was received so well we decided to, celebrate it with a book and everything like that. So any game that does well enough when it's delivered and we do a follow up Kickstarter, we might do stuff like that where it's like let's do a book collecting all these characters and lore. But you might have to ask Scotty how he felt about handling that project because he kind of took that book on himself. So. Death before unsleeved play. Disagree. I appreciate what you're doing. Something non-Street Masters next. Couple games I have started their next Kickstarter only a week or two after receiving their previous Kickstarters. Yeah. You're kind of bound to production cycles. You can't, since shipping is out of our hands, we can't plan exactly how long it's going to take, but we can't sit around and do nothing. We need to keep producing games so we can follow a schedule. Like for example, we want Hour of Need out for Gen Con next year. So that means we have to get it done a certain time to produce it and ship it and all that stuff. So there's all planning to do, and you kind of have to follow the schedule regardless of how things happen, how things fall in place. But
So do you have what about Brook City expansions, new map, and or villain decks? Maybe how is the game received from your point of view? It's one of our more popular IPs. One thing we can't really say too much about. I think we've kind of mentioned this, but we have other plans for that IP. So that's kind of been why we haven't been setting a Brook City expansion in the works. Also, we have so much stuff lined up for next year right now that it just didn't fall into the schedule. But I think Brook City was probably the one that would be lower on the list to expand, just because Alter Quest was drastically more successful on Kickstarter, so it'd get priority if we need to expand that.
and Brook City didn't even do that well on Kickstarter, it funded. But there were also 4 expansions for it, 3 expansions. There was Delta
We did a
Keys,
lot of
Velocity,
things
Six Cycle, and the stretch goals. I mean, there's a lot of stuff right there that there's lots of content from Brook City already. But
And a little behind the scenes look is it's something that's one of the games where if we were to do more for it, then it's something that I there's certain things I want to maybe change or refine a little bit. So it's a matter of not wanting to put out just more content for the game, because I think there's a lot of content for it. So it would be something different and more significant. So that really has kind of sidetracked that as far as expansions go.
But I do think comparing Brook City with other games, Brook City, people that like it really like it. I think the theme is also very strong. People like that cop theme. But it doesn't have as wide of a fan base as Street Masters or Alter Quest. Alter Quest is by far our most widely successful game so far, and because people like fantasy and it's a lot easier to get into, and lots of people like fantasy. The pool for people who want an action cop game is much smaller, but those who do like it really like it. So it's difficult to juggle projects when you're juggling the people massively popular projects versus one that's got a small devoted fan base. So it's difficult to juggle that, but it's obviously it's on our radar still.
So we got out of interest, how many fighting games did you reference for characters and moves? I see Tekken, Street Fighter, King of Fighters. The interesting thing about this is not much. I don't know much about fighting moves. I'm not a big arcade fighter. I was much more into the whole brawling, the beat 'em up games. And those are obviously much more looser. They're not based a lot on actual fighting styles. It's more just punching, kicking, and throwing people. I didn't have a whole lot of forehand knowledge on that. I did a lot of research in the process. A lot of the character designs were done ahead of time, so the art was already a lot of it was pre-developed before we came on board with a game design for the concept. So that was something that's kind of a shared thing with Blacklist. They had that ready to go when we came on board. So most of what we provided was just the Aftershock was mostly our contribution theme-wise. We created the characters we wanted, and we created the enemies we wanted. So that was more just a nod to any of the kind of cult themes that might be represented at a beat 'em up game, going through, fight some monsters, we're gonna fight some mutants. So that's much more of what our contribution was. So Brady, since you're loving the Iron Fist comics so much, I'm guessing we will be seeing a martial arts hero. I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, that's stretch goals are all dependent on funding, so we'll see what gets unlocked. Already played all the Brook City content too. Can't wait for more. Thanks, awesome. Glad you're enjoying it. It's something
that's burning through all of our games.
Yeah. So, some people telling us to slow down. You're telling us to speed up. It's it's hard to judge. I just looked it up earlier. I was referring to Wise Guy's actual name. Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. Sorry. I saw that afterwards too, and that's just a coincidence because it's a common name, and I honestly forgot that we used Russo in Aftershock. So that was
a lot of names.
Yeah, there's a lot of names for these characters, but I just thought it was a cool name for an Italian mob family.
Thanks for stopping by, Nico. Any sleeves easy for shuffling?
Yeah, see, shuffling's not really a big deal for me because I don't really feel obligated to do the quick shuffling or the ruffle shuffle. I do that now lightly with my cards, but I also just do the piles, individual pile shuffling. So I know some people have issues with shuffling. That's mostly why they use sleeves. It's to me, it's almost harder to shuffle with sleeves. It's just more bulk and everything. So.
If you want research for pro wrestling, I'm sadly your guy. I have a lot of research in pro wrestling from when I was a kid, so I'm right there with you.
Yeah, there was. It's funny Dan mentioned that. There was a wrestling game we had planned. We kind of just took a step back from it because we we had cool ideas for it, and it'd be fun to make wrestling characters. But that's like I think even
Wrestling
comes
is very
across-
scripted.
Yeah.
You can make a cool game out of it, but you have to design around a very scripted sequence. You know, you wear each other down, you try to pin each other, and you got to work within a ring. It's got to have all these hits that you want from a wrestling game. You know, you got to do suplexes. You got to throw guys on the ropes. There's a lot of automated movements that you have to kind of design around, and trying to do that without being stagnant is a little difficult, but it's possible. But it wasn't quite where we wanted it, so we kind of moved on to something else. But we definitely had a cool idea for a wrestling game at one point. Cool. I think we're caught up finally with questions. My voice is all my mouth's all dry. So, if you have any other questions that you can ask now, feel free. You know, we're still super excited about this game. The funding is been slower than we'd hoped, but it's getting there. We're 900 backers, so you know it's nothing to sneeze at. I'm fairly confident we'll fund. If
It's a great experiment though, because one thing that we saw lots of criticism for online early on last year. We were doing Altar Quest. People were just like, "Oh, another dungeon crawler, huh? Oh my, I haven't seen that before." But you know, you saw the success of Altar Quest. It funded in an hour, and it was ended off at like
it was less than, I think it was like 2 hours or something.
oh, was it?
Yeah, it was a
Okay.
couple hours.
Yeah. Well, what was the ending though? 600,000.
620.
So yeah, so I mean, like obviously similar games. You know, they're deck-driven co-op games with miniatures, in that kind of like high-level similarity. But I think the fantasy theme just really is. Even though people say they want different themes and everything, I feel like there's a big majority that just wants what they want. So
I honestly think Altar Quest would have done even more if we did it just straight up same old fantasy, like orcs and goblins and undead. Like if we did that, I bet it would hit 1 million. But like we wanted to mix it up a little bit, and that turned off a lot of people. There were a lot of people that were just like, I'm not going to back this because I don't want to fight
and also
these humanoid animals.
And also, we could have just easily made a like updated Hero Quest system where it's just like no decks or anything, just Hero Quest, and I'm sure it would have gone insane. But it's one of the things where like as a creative person, like you just can't always motivate yourself to just do something that's kind of just for the payout.
And Our Game's a good example. Like this is probably the game where we've worked on that we're most excited about. I mean, it typically happens with your most recent game, but obviously we've learned a lot with MDS, and this is the most polished version. It's lightning fast. It's super fun. We're super excited about it, and sometimes it's kind of frustrating where people don't see it the same way we do because obviously we are much closer to it. But there are so many external factors that don't apply to us that we have to kind of think about. As hard as a creative person, where you have to be weighed down by external opinions as opposed to what you're seeing and what you're creating. It's difficult. It's frustrating at times. But we're just happy to see so many people excited about this game and want to support it. And we hope that more people come in as well. And hopefully new Blacklist fans. That's the whole point.
That's one thing. Yeah, Dan mentioned here. Dan Spizzano asked, "What can we do to help?" Mostly, we see a lot of speaking to the current fan base because like a lot of people will post either their kind of like aftershock reports or their aftershock praises.
Yeah, the Blacklist fan
group.
It's very active.
But if you expand outside of that, because right now I think we've targeted all we can within our own group. So expanding outside of that, if you're members of other groups, like we just getting people to know what Blacklist is, the games we've done, the reviews that they've gotten, and this active campaign that's that's very cool theme, very accessible price point and everything. So just getting new people aware of that, I think is going to help. And I mean, right now we're at a point where the funding level, if it got a surge of enough people just coming in to check it out, it could easily fund in the next day or two. So
I think that not only are we super targeted on the Blacklist fan group where we know that's where we're very active, a lot of those people already have several Blacklist games. They might not want another one at this time, so they're not even a target audience anyway because they have Street Masters or whatever. But the other thing to think about is when you're talking to other people or talking to other groups in social media, things like that, is to just kind of know and talk about how different the MDS games are. Like, yes, they're all MDS games, but it's kind of like saying all LCGs are the same from FFG. Like they're not. They play differently. They're card games and they're the certain product model, but they're still different games. So that's kind of important. But again, it's usually comes down to theme. If people don't like superheroes, they're not really going to bother checking it out. So even if the game is fantastic and they love it, if they're not looking for a superhero game, they're going to look for. Most people these days are going to look for any reason not to back a project. So it's going to be very easy to talk yourselves out of it. Heck, I'm guilty of that as well. Like I'm easily talked out of backing games because I have too many. I back too many games.
And one thing is it's hard to do, I know, because like we try to do it, try to reach out to people, but there's even people who don't actively use Kickstarter, and they might be more like just very casual, have a casual interest in games, but they might see this and see that there's a price point, a $35 entry point, I'll spend that, and they might not have that expectation of having a ton of stretch goals with it or a ton of bonuses. They might just want to either just pre-order a game essentially. So and just getting the word out there, saying, hey, check out this cool game, it's $35, you can get a 2-player box. And
the other thing to keep in mind with our Kickstarter as well is we set a realistic goal of what it would take to print the game and fulfill it and everything like that and keep our business running. We could have easily just said, we only need $50,000 and we would have funded right away, and that would have looked much more appealing from a marketing perspective, but we didn't want to spin it that way. We just wanted to be honest and say this is what we need to make this game. So it's taking a little longer, and it's not looking as exciting from the outside. People might see, this game's not even funded yet. It's just something else to consider. But yes, Michael pointed out that since there are cheaper pledge levels, it makes it so it might make for a lower funding level. Anything else I'm missing? The Frocks are awesome, yes. Any way to get a demo kit? Unfortunately, they're super expensive, and we only had a few printed, and they were all spoken for. So we don't have extras, which is a bummer. But anybody who's interested in playtesting Hour of Need can reach out through Blacklist, and they will forward you to the proper channels. We only consider serious playtesters because it's a lot of work. But if that's something you want to take on, please reach out.
We are at 900 backers, so it's first week 900 backers. We have a good foundation for this campaign, and with us going to Miami next week at Dice Tower, it'd be great, obviously if we were funded by then, so that way that push could be just like, here's a bunch of stretch goals we can unlock, with all these new people checking out the game. And obviously when a game is funded, people are more prone to, I'll check this, I'll put some money on this game. So we might have a lot of people who are sitting there with like $1 pledge or, just kind of bookmark the page. So yeah, we just need to make sure we get enough people looking at it, get some visibility on it, and it's the best we can do. We'll just keep cranking away on our end, and we're just gonna keep designing content, get the game ready to go, regardless if it funds or not, because we'll make the game happen no matter what. So,
all right. That's about it for today, guys. Thanks a lot for joining us. We'll probably do some more of these throughout the Kickstarter. But like we mentioned, we're going to go into Miami next week to play with the Dice Tower. Hopefully get some more eyes on the campaign. But until then, spread the word, work on those social goals. Post your Street Masters or Brook City gameplays and other pages and mention there's a Kickstarter going on for... Because next year we're going to hear a lot of this on social media. It's like when Hour Need hits, you guys are all going to get your copy of the game, and people are going to be very bummed because they missed out on the Kickstarter. It's like, I can't believe I missed that. Happens every time. Every Kickstarter we do, that's the result. So
yeah, show off your, as you get your Aftershock stuff, show it off, unbox it, post pictures of every group you find, saying, oh yeah, they're doing a new Kickstarter, Hour of Need, so people will know the quality content we put out there. So thanks everyone.
Right. Thanks for joining us.
Have a good one.
See you guys next time.